Hello, welcome to this Tumble interview. I'm here with the truly one and only Frankie Delta.
Big up, big up.
How you doing?
Yeah, yeah, pretty good actually. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not bad. I'm not bad. Have you had a good day so far?
Yeah, it's been nice. Just good chill day. Just got some sun literally just come out.
I was
So
going to say you look very radiant with the sun come on you there.
I'm
It's almost like
positively
all this was
glowing.
planned. Yeah, exactly.
I control the sun.
Yeah, it's better than having shit ass rain all the time.
Yeah, true. Gotta make up for it somehow.
Yeah, right. So let's start by just saying about well, Frankie Delta. What sort of music do you write? Let's kind of get into this.
It's kind of grunge, it's kind of punk. It's very political, very identity based. But with some fun little pop melodies and some math rock time signatures to just kind of screw with your head. It's just an
Yeah.
experience. I have no idea how to word it really. I always ask people, I'm like, what kind of music do I make? And they're like, I can't really compare you to anyone. I'm like, great. Put that
It's
in the
just an
marketing.
experience. That's all you need to know.
Fully,
It's
it's
just
an
an experience. You
experience.
press play and you're away.
Yeah, you just go for it.
So you say it's very political.
Mm.
That's quite brave from a lot of bands. I feel like a lot of bands, stay away from that. So what kind of do you want to get across in your songs?
Being like a trans queer musician, currently living under, the Tory party, it's big up. It's really tricky to kind of exist at the moment. And the whole reason that I got into music was because I wanted to kind of have a platform so I could make a change. So that's why I'm so massively political in everything that I do, because I'm like, I'm gonna make music. I'm gonna have a message to them. I'm gonna go and change the world. As cringe as it is, we can't keep going on like this. So
Yeah, yeah,
that's
that's cool. So you use your music as a platform to get your ideas across.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So kind of what would you say that your main ideas are, if you want to talk about it
Um,
in the
about
music?
how yeah, in the music, how bloody tricky it is to kind of exist right now. Um, dealing with mental health problems, with identity stuff, with not being able to access resources, with people just being so horrendously underfunded and poor, while the top 1% are out there smoking cigars and being on islands where people over here are just starving to death. It's crap, if you ask me.
Tell you what, you have a lot of like material to work with at the moment, don't you? You're
Oh,
not going to be short of
fully.
ideas.
100%. I will complain till the bloody cows come home.
Yeah. So we'll come on a bit more about the LGBT scene in a bit. Let's talk more
Yeah.
about kind of Frankie Delta and the process of the music. So you are a solo artist, like
Yeah.
the project is Frankie Delta, but you also work with a band.
Yeah, bang on.
So with the band, how do you kind of operate that? Do you have the same people that you work with, or does it kind of
So
change a lot?
I I figured out pretty early on that I didn't just want to rely on one set of musicians, because I want the whole Frankie Delta thing to be an experience, and I want to take influences from a lot of people. So I've got a kind of roster and I write all the songs. And then I'll just message loads of people and be like, "Hi, do you want to be part of this? Do you want to do some stuff? Can you make these gig dates?" And I just get loads of people in a room and see what they think about the songs, and then the live performance of the songs is really based off the people that are there, which I find is really important, because it's really boring being a session musician and not getting paid a lot, because you're very DIY at the moment, and we're very very low level. So I just let people really do what they want with stuff, and it's great to see people's ideas really bounce off what you've created.
So would you play the same songs live, but with different bands and playing well, like in a differently?
Yeah, not super differently, but everyone's parts are a little bit different based on what they kind of want to, what flavor they want to bring, which is it's really sweet, because I've had
That
a
is
few different.
cool. It brings a different experience to each gig then.
Definitely, I want people to enjoy coming to my gigs, and I don't want them to come to the same gig over and over and over again. It's got to be different every time, otherwise, why are you coming? If I want you to make the most out of your money, really.
Well, one thing about you is definitely your live performances. Like you can tell you put a lot of effort in to make a
Yeah,
good show. So why don't you just talk a bit about how you make them so intense?
yeah.
But
So I'm super focused on image and appearances, because my mum used to be a graphic designer, and for the first 10, 15 years of my life, I wanted to go into visual arts. So that's something that I've always taken with me when I went into music. And I was like, live performance is so much fun, and it's an experience, and it's not just watching someone play music. because if I wanted to listen to your songs, I'd do it at home for free. You know, I
Mm.
want people to enjoy the experience and really take something from it, because we've all been to those gigs where we've really enjoyed the night and then a week later you just can't remember what happened because it hasn't really stuck with you. And I want to create a really immersive. I mean, this is definitely what we need right now. You know, when
Yeah.
we're all been stuck behind screens for a year now, not be able to go to any live gigs. So I just want to create something that's really immersive and a kind of experience where you can escape whatever's going on in your life and just have a lot of fun for half hour, 45 minutes, or however long it is. Just kind of be in the moment and be submerged into this different world where you just get to exist and have fun.
Yeah. So what sort of stuff do you do when you play live to kind of create that experience? Because I've seen a few videos and I've seen you live actually. But
Have you?
yeah, yeah, the
Oh,
BIM stuff, and it's good.
I really appreciate that. I yeah, I just think about a lot about what the audience is going to perceive, um, because without an audience, there is no point in playing gigs. So it's all about what the audience are going to see, what experience they're going to have. So I'll think about props. I'll think about lighting. Right now, I'm working on creating lighting rigs and either projected or screens with animations with visuals on to really kind of create this immersive, almost four-dimensional show where you really feel included in the action. Um, who knows how it's going to go, but I'm very excited to be working on it, and I'm really making the most of lockdown because obviously we can't be out there in the real world at the moment. So instead, I'm sat here kind of fiddling away with a lot of things, just trying to blow your socks off when we can actually get back to the real world.
Well, I can definitely imagine your first show back is going to be good.
It's going to be explosive.
Yeah. So you've talked a little bit about lockdown. How are
Mhm.
you getting on it? How are you doing?
It's weird. It's really, really weird. Like I can't believe we've been in it for nearly a year now because it feels like it's been forever, but also it doesn't feel like it's been that long because hardly anything's actually happened.
Yeah.
Um, Most of all, I miss gigs, whether it's performing or attending them. I just miss being close to people, being hot and being sweaty, and enjoying music and being able to shout in people's faces. You know, that is something that I really, really miss, being able to go up to people in the audience and just scream at them. Because now we look at it and we're like, you're not wearing a mask, you're not 2 meters away. That's really dangerous. It's a really weird time. And I'm so excited to get back to normal. But, you know, I'm trying to make the most of being away from the stage and bettering my craft, but I am just itching to get back out there.
I can imagine. So obviously, because you're a very live-based performer, how do you think the live streaming and trend is? Are you for it?
I'm
What do
definitely
you think?
for it. It's not live in the way that I see live, but also I feel like if we didn't do it, there would be such a big gap in the market at the moment because we all
Mm.
do love live music, and it also gives musicians the opportunity to play with each other and kind of, you know, not be in your face almost, but be teleported into your lounge and be like, "Here's me doing some music." It kind of gives musicians kind of autonomy and presence because at the moment, obviously, everyone's just streaming everything. So having the ability to actually do something live, although it's not face to face, it allows you to kind of be a human being as opposed to just getting this, you know, this music that's being recorded and it's pristine and it's perfect and it's all on Spotify or Bandcamp or anything. It gives people the experience to actually be human for a bit, I think.
Yeah, it stops bands kind of getting forgotten about.
Fully.
You can still kind of do stuff.
Yeah.
So do you think it'll carry on a little bit after lockdown, or do you think as soon as gigs are back, that's it gone? Because lots of people
I
have
think
very
it's
split opinions on this.
yeah, I think it's really interesting. I think it's here to stay, honestly. I don't It's not gonna replace gigs. Gigs are definitely coming back and they're coming back as soon as they can because obviously it just makes so much coin. It's such a great industry, but I think it makes a lot of things a lot more accessible. Like people who can't go to gigs for accessibility reasons, for example, um, still get to have this experience that they've been denied for so long. And I feel like that's really present in not just music, but a lot of things. You know, people are working from home and stuff, and where people with disabilities have been asking for this for years, suddenly it's possible, and it's like, why haven't we been doing this before? So I think it's a good thing that it makes a lot of things more accessible, and I think we've got a lot to learn from lockdown, and there are some things that we kind of need to keep.
Yeah, looking back, it's kind of hard to believe that it was never a thing before lockdown
Yeah,
because it's
fully.
so easy to do,
Exactly. Exactly.
and you can get your music to a lot more people.
Yeah, 100%. It makes sense.
Yeah. So let's just go back onto your music.
Yeah.
How would you describe your creative process when you are writing your tunes?
So it really depends on where I am. Um, I'll get either a melody or a rhythm or a groove, and I've got to record that straight away. If I'm out, it'll be a note on my phone, and I'll come back to it later. But if I'm at home, if I've got my laptop, it goes straight into Logic, and I just try and build on it from there. Because I feel like if you leave something, it gets a bit stale, and it's hard to get in the same kind of vibe of when you're writing that song. Like I just need to go in it now, otherwise I'm gonna lose the flow, and it's not gonna be fun anymore. Um, so I'll start with a melody or a rhythm or a groove, and leave the harmony till last because I feel like if I decide on a chord pattern, it can really restrict what I'm trying to write. Um, and harmony can throw what you've created in a lot of different directions, and it gives you a lot of movement. So I really feel like it. I don't need to decide on that until the last minute when I know what I want to create. Otherwise, it's kind of informing everything around me. And I'm really rubbish at writing drums, so I'll I'll throw some ideas in, and then I'll chuck it over to my long-term collaborator, Dan, who plays pretty much all of my live shows. He's a fantastic drummer. We've been working together for God, how many years? 7 years, something like that.
It is.
Yeah, we met in college back in Reading. It's great.
Mm.
Um, he's an absolutely fantastic musician. He plays loads of instruments. Um, but he really gets Frankie Delta more than anyone. I feel like sometimes even more than me because we've worked together for so long. So I'll send him over kind of an idea that I've got. I'm like, I want the drums to kind of sound like this, and then he makes them make sense in a way that makes sense to someone who can play drums because I cannot at all.
So do you say that's an important thing for you when you're looking at musicians, people who really understand what Frankie Delta's about?
Yeah,
So
definitely
not
more than
necessarily the best musician, but someone who gets what you're trying to do.
yeah, someone who's just passionate, wants to have a lot of fun, and is also very politically aware of what's going on. Because I feel like I have to be really intentional with what I do and very authentic and very clear. So I feel
Yeah,
like it's really important to actually consider who's going into it as well as what's going into it.
yeah, that's a very important thing to consider. You don't really think about all the time because they can just get, especially in this day and age, I feel, with social media being such a present thing, you can't just write good songs and that's it.
Yeah,
It has
fully.
got to make sense in the context of who you are.
Yeah, definitely. And it's, I try very succinctly to associate with people who believe in the things that I believe in. And, if anyone's in my social circle and they're a bit problematic, I'm like, goodbye, because I just cannot be associating. I don't have I want to say the mental energy to be associating with people who kind of have beliefs that counteract my existence.
Yeah,
So it's very important to me to kind of bring that into what I do.
it's understandable as well.
It's just tiring.
So you write all of the music on your own, well, apart from drums, with a bit of help. So
Yeah.
how do you find that? Because a lot of people would really struggle without a band
Yeah,
to
it's
write everything.
I find it really interesting to kind of see what ideas I come up with in like Frankie Delta HQ in quotation marks in my brain. Um because I feel like it's super concentrated Frankie Delta energy, and it's like this is exactly what I want to do, exactly where I want to go, but then I bring it to other musicians and they give it life in a way that's not totally me because I can write songs that I love all day long, but it doesn't mean that everyone else is going to love them. And I can only bring ideas that I've thought of. I can't cover the entire musical spectrum, so it's really interesting to get other people involved and give me ideas that I wouldn't have thought of because a lot of the time it makes more sense than the stuff that I've written.
Yeah, it
It's
can get hard when you write stuff on your own because you kind of get. It's
yeah,
cool to get other outside influences.
yeah, definitely. I love collaborating with people. I don't do it a lot, but when I do it, it's amazing to just see all these different influences and these paths that you never would have taken. And it's like, oh my god, I'm now going to take that and I'm going to add it to my musical toolkit and I'm going to use it in more things. It's a great way to just expand your horizons and really open your eyes to other things that you could be doing because otherwise you're just going to write the same song 100 times.
Mm. So when you're recording songs, do you use a band or do you do all the instruments?
I haven't got a lot of recorded stuff actually. It's all demos and it's all stuff that I've done in my bedroom. Number one, because I do not have access to recording a drum kit, so all my drums are MIDI drums and they sound horrendous.
I was going to say I checked them out and they're not. It's not bad.
Thank you.
They sound good.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I know what kind of sounds that I want to go for. And I'm not a producer, but I feel like it's really important in this day and age to kind of be self-sufficient because you can't just record a demo on your phone and it be horrendous quality and you show it to someone, because they really need to be informed of what you want to create. So I really focus on my production on a lot of stuff just so that I've got the right kind of sounds and I know where I want to go. So if I do bring it into a studio, I could be like, this is what I need. Let's kind of expand on this, but with someone who's got production knowledge like that.
Yeah, so sorry if you mentioned this. I got distracted because I think a drilling's starting and I'm getting a bit scared.
Oh
But
lord.
did you say if you were recording stuff in the studio, would you use a band
Yeah.
or would you kind of just?
I would definitely use Dan because he knows my stuff inside out. Because he's also a bloody fantastic drummer. But all the other instruments, I've done a couple of things in studio just for projects and stuff that's never gone anywhere. I've got a few files laying around on my computer, but I try and do it all myself because I really really enjoy it, and also I love the energy that other people bring to stuff live. Um, but I don't want to feel like I'm stepping on anyone's toes or stealing anything. I feel like if I've written something, I'm like, right, this is mine. This is how I know that I want it to sound, and then we can deviate from it live. Because I also hate when people play songs exactly the same live as they are recorded. Because like, what's the point? You've just learned how to play your own song. Do something with
Well,
it. Take
well
it
done.
somewhere. Yeah, well done. You can play one version of your song. I'm bored. I've heard it 500 times on repeat because I'm obsessed with it. Do something else with it.
Yeah, I'd love that idea of using different people live.
It's
I think
great.
that's
It's so
such a
much
good tip for
fun.
any people who are starting out as a solo artist.
Yeah, definitely. It also means you can say yes to a lot more gigs because you're not restricted on just 5 people being able to make something.
Would you ever deviate completely from your genre and go a bit left field, like a
Um,
reggae set?
God, I would be awful at playing reggae. But I do love sessioning for other people.
Hmm.
Um, I love two of my absolute best friends throughout uni, Zoe Newton, who's a old country musician, and Ellie Gowers, who's a folk musician. And I love just playing stuff with them because it's so different with what I do. And I love just kind of sticking my fingers in all these different pies and being able to take things from it and being like, okay, this, you know, I can use this in other things. Like I've said before, like it's great to be able to just embrace more kinds of music. I feel like it's really important. Otherwise, you're not going to develop as a musician. You're just going to be really boring.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's what a lot of people say. You need to
Mm,
get it in as many genres as possible to have that.
for sure, for sure.
So, what advice would you give, especially a solo artist who's kind of coming through? What would you kind of say? Look, you need to kind of do this if you want to get anywhere.
Don't be afraid to write bad songs. I treat songwriting like a muscle, and you need to do it regularly to improve it, like any kind of skill. Write often and edit down. Say you write, say 4 songs a week, so you got 28 songs in a month. You have a few good songs, and you can shelf the rest of them and pick the good ideas out of them. But you've still gotten into the songwriting process, and you're gonna be writing better songs as time goes on. You're allowed to write bad songs. You just don't have to show anyone. They don't all have to be pristine and perfect. Because then you're putting too much pressure on yourself, and you get that writer's block, and you're like, "This isn't perfect. I can't do anything."
That is such good advice. I love it. I think
Yeah.
90% of the songs that I write are bad songs, so that's good for somebody else to
Oh,
say.
honestly, loads of my songs are absolute crap. We had this one exercise back in college, and it was like, right, to get out of writer's block, just write whatever's in your brain and just keep going. It's like the what's it called? Oh, I can't remember what it's called. Where you write and you write and you write and you don't pick your pen up off the paper, you just keep going. Um, I can't remember, the name will come to me in a minute. Um, but you just need to kind of unblock yourself, which sounds really weird. But
Yeah, this isn't that sort of interview.
no, exactly. That's for later on. Um, but yeah, just get whatever's clogging up your brain out of your brain, and you'll be able to flow a lot better.
Like a
So just
brain laxative.
literally like a brain laxative. You're a bit bunged up, just sort yourself out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. So we talked a bit about it before, but being an LGBTQ musician, sorry, I'm dyslexic, and that's really hard to say in a mouthful. um, let's chat a bit about that because that's obviously a very important issue for you. So,
Definitely.
what would you say your experiences are? Would you say it's been different if you weren't part of that community? Would it have been different in any way?
It's I feel like it's really difficult to hypothesize that because I just don't know and I have nothing to compare it to, and
Yeah,
You know, I'm very proud and open about who I am. It's really tricky because on one hand you don't want to be pigeonholed as a queer musician because it feels really one-dimensional and you're like a token queer. You know, it's just a lot of people are like, oh, that person's gay, and then leave it at that, and they have no other defining characteristics. It's like, come on, we are in-depth people. But at the same time, I'm very vocal about my identity as a queer and non-binary musician because visibility is super important for minorities. And I want to normalize identities such as mine existing in the public sphere. And the LGBTQ community can be super supportive, and I really rate that. It feels like a family that kind of understands, um, stuff that you're going through, stuff that you're experiencing, especially at the moment when the political sphere is so divided and so taxing. It's great to know that you are being supported by a lot of people. Um, but yeah, I'm just super vocal about who I am, and I feel like I couldn't do it any other way because visibility is so important and just normalizing queer identities in the public sphere.
Yeah. Would you say you face any additional challenges because you're part of that community?
The only challenge I've really faced is being misgendered, and that's because we're so used to just assuming that we know what someone's identity is based on their appearance, and also assuming that there are only two genders. And I get that we're getting there slowly and progress is being made, but it can be really tiring, and that's why I'm so loud about it. Like, I've had people come up to me and say, oh, you've really normalized trans non-binary identities. I didn't really know about them until I knew you. And I'm just here like, I'm just being a person. I'm glad that you can see that it's nothing that's really weird. You're just not taught about it, but it's not really a big deal. But that's I want it to not be a big deal. But at the moment, I have to make a big deal so that people know that it's a thing.
Yeah, because I can imagine a lot of people probably just don't even know
Yeah,
about
fully,
it.
fully. Yeah, and that's not even their fault. People don't do it intentionally. 99% of the time, people aren't being malicious. They're just not aware. So I'm just here like, hi. By the way, this is going on, and it normalizes it for a lot of people.
Yeah, you can tell with your image, like your whole thing isn't about being LGBTQ. Like you have your Frankie Delta image, and it's
Yeah,
just kind
fully.
of being a badass and stuff. But then you kind of have all that stuff on the side which you're very passionate about.
Yeah,
So it's cool that you're not defining yourself just as that, and
definitely.
you yeah. So would you say the Bristol music scene, in a sense, would you say that because it's hard because I don't really know any other music scenes and I don't really know anything about the LGBTQ community because I haven't really experienced it. Would you say Bristol is a good place for LGBTQ musicians?
Yeah, undoubtedly. We've got a great queer scene here. It's definitely one of the queer hotspots of the UK. Um, and it just feels really safe, which is obviously really important with all of the regulations going on at the moment when the Tories are trying to take away a lot of queer and trans rights. Um, and Bristol feels really safe and really supportive. And I've never really felt nervous about being queer in Bristol, which is really lovely and really important. Because obviously hate crime is on the rise, which we do not love.
No.
But
So
Bristol's a good place.
what advice would you give up and coming artists in that community?
Seek out your queer networks. Um, my number one tip is check out Punka,
Punker?
Punka. They're a LGBTQ plus event promoter, and they're promoting my upcoming gig in
Oh
October.
no way.
They're absolutely fantastic. Yeah, they put on so many queer nights, and it just feels so inclusive and so supportive. Um, and they're absolutely bloody fantastic. Can't rate them enough.
So are they UK based or Bristol based?
Bristol based.
Oh, that's really
They
cool.
are.
And they put on do a lot of music stuff.
Yeah, loads of music stuff, loads of gig nights, and also loads of drag stuff, which is just so much fun. Everyone's RuPaul's Drag Race has become such a kind of a staple over the past few years, and it's great to actually see the underground side of it and actually see like where this came from, because obviously so many people are consuming this content but don't realize what goes on under the hood. So it's great to have a promoter that actively kind of works in this scene. It's a big lovely community, and it feels
Mm.
really really wholesome and really positive.
And did you say they've got a gig for you in October?
Yeah, so 1st of October at Z Alley, I'm gonna be headlining, first ever headline. Big up, big up.
Hey, all right.
Yeah, supported by Peace Lily and RTO. I'll send you over the links.
Yeah, definitely.
Big up. It's
So
I'm just
October, that's going to be awesome.
I'm just excited. Fingers crossed we'll be able to have gigs by then. You know, who knows if we're
Yeah,
still going to be whatever's going to be going on, but we're just trying to keep hopeful because there's. I'm trying to kind of aim for the light at the end of the tunnel, and I just want to blow people's socks off with this new live stuff that I'm working on.
well, I can imagine that gig will be good, and I'll
Yeah,
come down.
it'll be cathartic at least for just all that frustration that we've all been building up over the past year.
It's gonna be one of the biggest mosh pits in the world.
Oh, fully. And Zed Alley's tiny, so it's just going to be absolutely stacked. It'll be great.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the Bristol music scene.
Mm.
You played quite a bit of Bristol.
Yeah, a little bit.
What are your thoughts on the scene as a whole?
I think it's wonderful. It's possibly my favourite scene I've ever played. I've only ever played here and Reading, so it's not really tricky. Um, because Reading's my end. But it's incredibly varied and it really kind of holds its own. You know, we got reggae, we got D&B, we got metal, we got folk, we got jazz, we got experimental noisecore. You want it, we've got it. Bristol's full of weirdos, and you can really find your scene. And the only issue, the only thing that I can fault is the fact that so many venues have closed down or been on the brink of closing down because of the pandemic. But that's on the Tories. That's not on Bristol.
Yeah, don't
So
blame Bristol for that one.
no, fully. As soon as you know we're allowed to go out and go to gigs and stuff, support your local venues. Go down to the pub. Just make sure that they're getting some money because they need it. Otherwise, you're not going to have any arts.
No, that's the best. I love that about Bristol, how it's mainly just local, small venues. Because you've got
Fully.
the O2 Academy and Colston
Mhm.
Hall, which are the two biggest, but they're still not even that big.
Yeah, definitely. I was actually thinking about like, oh, what venues do I really love in Bristol? And like everything's just so tiny and so independent, and I love that because it's just everything's got its own kind of flavor, its own kind of vibe. So
Hmm.
that's why I feel the music scene is so varied because you've got a bit of everything because there is no kind of conglomerate monopolization. It's
No,
just
yeah,
little
it's just,
little independent flavors. Bristol's weird.
and like you said, each kind of little venue has its own sound, and
Yeah,
you kind of get
definitely.
to know them, and that's what makes it a good one. You obviously got the
Definitely.
Griffin, which is metalheads and
Oh, I
awesome.
love the Griffin. I've played it once and it was just so tiny.
The
It's
Griffin.
great.
I was just saying about this in an interview I did with
Mhm.
Voltaine, and I went up and we
Oh
went to go
yeah.
and see like this metal band, and then I
Mm.
came downstairs and they were playing The Cure downstairs, and it's like this is brilliant. All these
You
hardcore
found the guy
metalheads just bopping along to Love
to the
Cats.
cure. That is perfect. Oh, that is the Griffin summed up.
Mm. So, what would you say your favourite venue in Bristol is?
Oh my god. Favourite venue? Crofters Rights down in Stokes
Crofters,
Croft.
right?
It's just got such a beautiful atmosphere. I don't know what it is. I've seen so many of my friends play there. And I feel like that really gives it a special thing when you see your friends. You're like, I'm so supportive of you. I love you. It's amazing to see your friends do what they really enjoy, and it's just got this beautiful atmosphere. It feels like a really great
Yeah,
room. I
it's so cool
love
because it's got like that
rides.
proper pub feel at the front, and then there's this
Yeah,
weird door which kind of takes you to this
it fully
magical.
it's
Mm,
fully Narnia vibes.
yeah,
I
definitely.
love it. I love it. Yeah, Crofters definitely my favorite.
Yeah, and what would you say your favorite gig you've ever played in
Uh,
Bristol is?
I'd have to say the first full set that I played in Bristol, which would be at Louisiana, 10th of December 2019. I was
Have you got
opening
that
up.
tattooed on you?
No, but I remember it because I've hardly played any gigs since lockdown. You
Oh,
know, it was like I started playing live gigs in December of 2019, and then by March of 2020 we're in bloody lockdown. It's awful
it's
timing from
so
me.
annoying.
Um, but yeah, so I was supporting Twin Arrow. They were headlining and also playing with Smile More, and it
Mm,
was just such a beautiful gig because so many of my friends came and I just felt so supported and so loved, and it was just the most amazing atmosphere because so many of my mates were just smiling at me and being like, "Yeah, you know, they were really enjoying the show," and I was like, "This is what I can give you." I love that kind of relationship that you have with an audience when you're on stage because it's not just you. You know, you're providing for them and you're giving them this entertainment, and then they give you back their love, and it just feels beautiful. It's like
yeah.
everything that I've been doing, all these hours upon hours, and all this expensive gear that I've spent money on is worth it just for this.
Yeah. Whenever you're on GAC, you're like, this is worth it.
Oh, fully, fully. I'm like, I need all this gear because people are going to love me, and I'll be happy.
Just think about what the audience will say.
Truly.
Where was that gig, did you say?
Louisiana.
Louisiana. That's a
I
good
love
venue as well.
Louisiana. It's beautiful.
I love the walk to it as well.
Oh my god, isn't it so nice to actually just get out of the center for like 2 seconds?
I know, and it's just like it's cool upstairs room, and it's
It's
nice there.
gorgeous. And it's great that they've been doing so well at the moment with all the lockdown gigs they've been putting on.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
yeah. My friend's the sound engineer there.
No
I've
way.
been seeing. Yeah, that's a good way for the venues to keep going.
Definitely, definitely.
Let's just hope they all survive.
Yeah, anything that lets us pour money into them so they survive. Got my money, definitely.
Right, you've kind of smashed every single question I've asked you, but I'd like to ask you one more, and it's what we're asking everybody. So, if you could
Go on.
open for any artist or band, past or present, who would it be and why?
I really, really struggle with this because I just love so much music. It's really tricky. Um, but I would have to go for Fever 333 because they are just super political and super high energy, and they're great at putting on a live show. It's really enjoyable. I love everything that they're about. And their audience also just have such an energy that I would absolutely thrive off. And I think I just throw myself into them and scream in all their faces. That's what I do best.
That
I
would
just,
be a very good gig.
oh, truly,
Very
truly.
political.
Oh, 100%. It's all I'm about.
Oh, right. That was sick. Good answer. And I
Thank
don't really
you.
have anything to add if you want to say anything else.
Come to my gig.
Yes. Go to Frankie Delta's gig
Hell yeah.
and your socks will be well officially blown off.
No socks. No socks allowed. They'll be exploded.
Everybody needs to have bare feet.
Bare feet. Bare feet
For
only.
health and safety reasons.
I can't
It'll be
imagine it.
socks, shoes flying all over the place.
Yeah, hopefully, because it will just be after lockdown. Like, the floors won't be as sticky as they usually are. So you'll be alright.
You need to have a sticky floor. It's all part of the experience.
Oh, I miss the fleece and its bloody sticky floor.
I love going to a gig and you can't move.
Fully,
Your
fully.
calves by the end of it are huge from the amount of extra like stepping.
True, true. God, I miss that workout of just trying to get your legs off the floor.
The best one was Thekla, floor of Thekla,
I love
with
that
the
so much.
vodka iron brew, thick dried onto the floor.
Mm. You're stuck there for days. Oh, I miss that, Claire.
I
I'm
miss
so
Thekla so
excited to go
much.
back.
I can't wait for
But
the
that,
first Thekla Thursday.
it's gonna be so good.
Right, well, thank you very much for coming on. And thank you very
Oh,
much for saying some very cool things.
absolute pleasure. It was good fun.
Yeah, sick. Well, I'll stop it there.